Okay, let's move on. And CenturyPly too had reported their quarter 3 numbers. When you look at it, the profits on a year-on-year basis surely had seen a slip coming in of around 16%. But to talk more about the numbers, understand what should we be expecting from the company going forward, we have the Executive Director Keshav Bhajanka joining in with us this afternoon from CenturyPly. Keshav, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining in with us on Market Falafel. Now, I want to start by talking about both the MDC as well as the particle board segment. The margins have shown a significantly downtick this time around. Now, other than the operating deleverage, what are the other attributive factors and reasons coming in for the margins? And where do you see the margins actually steadying and stabilizing going forward?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I think that in MDF and particle board, we have faced a lot of inflationary pressure in terms of the raw material, and in particle board in particular, a lot of pressure from imported material that has started coming into the south now. Um, with regards to inflationary pressure, raw material prices in the form of timber are still high. However, chemical prices have started correcting, so that should lead to a better profitability, a better gross profit going forward. However, I would say that MDF, we would be looking to maintain similar margins to Q3 going forward. Particle board margins could be slightly lower due to price corrections that we have had to take. Long term, both should have 25% plus EBITDA margins, but yes, there are headwinds in the short term.
Right, headwinds in the short term for the margins, but in the long term, you see a better and a stable margin scenario. Very good afternoon to you, Keshav. This is Cheryl also joining in the conversation. Let's talk about the demand scenario. How was the demand scenario in the quarter gone by? How are you visualizing it in the quarter that we are in, that is the Q4? And how will all of that trickle in for your earnings? Are you seeing brighter prospects to end FY23 on a firm footing? And also FY24, where are your projections?
Good afternoon. Um, yes, I definitely think that quarter four our earnings should be better. This is going to be driven by the easing out of chemical prices, as I've already stated, and by operating leverage. Last quarter, the demand scenario wasn't great. The on ground demand seemed to be a little weak, but towards the end of December, we started seeing a recovery in demand, and I'm very hopeful that quarter four that trend will continue. January again has been a good month, and so we should have our MDF capacity expansion in Hoshiarpur come online sometime in the month of March. So that is also likely to boost our top line and margins. Having said that, next year I think the full effect of our MDF capacity expansion comes into play, which will be a substantial boost to top line and bottom line. And we should see strong growth across most of our segments. We have a new capacity coming on board in laminates as well, and plywood has been doing really well. So I think overall we are quite bullish on FY24.
Keshav, just want to touch upon that capex plan you were talking about both for MDF and plywood. Obviously, especially in the plywood, you're focusing and increasing your penetration even in the mid-market and affordable segment along with your premium. So how much in terms of, once the capacity is added, how much will this add to your revenue both for plywood and MDF then?
So actually, I was talking about a capacity addition in the laminates, but yes, in plywood as well, we've been increasing capacity in the form of balancing equipment across all our plants, and we're looking at capacity addition in some of our plants. In plywood, going forward, we are very, very bullish that we will definitely have double-digit growth for the next year as well, and I think that is going to add to the top line.
All right, Keshav, then we leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now, and all the best to you and your company for the quarter that we are in for the Q4 as well as for a brand new FY24. And that was the management of CenturyPly. But let's move on and let's talk about some more stocks that is on the radar for Sumit, and that is Zensar Tech. And how is this one looking?